So first, we're going to go ahead and talk about really huge news, which is that Linkin Park, one of the iconic bands to come out of that early 2000s nu metal movement, they're back, kinda. So this all started when the band put up one of those cryptic countdowns on their website and all their socials and all that shit. When it did come down to zero, the band, they came out and they announced that they were in fact going to hit the road. And you might say, how do you do that? Your original singer, Chester Bennington, killed himself in 2017, but the band said that they in fact do have a new singer. I put my trust. And that new singer is Emily Armstrong. You may know her as the lead singer of the band Dead Sarah. A bit of a one-hit wonder. They had a hit song years ago. It was called The Weatherman. They had a lot of momentum, but it just never really became shit. So when the band made this announcement, they did a live stream with several live performances of her doing Linkin Park classics, as well as debuting their new single entitled The Emptiness Machine. This is a story that has mainly developed online. Everything I was seeing in terms of response it sounded good. And in terms of the single, a lot of people felt like, it's fine. It's not great. It's fine. Really, the whole point is you want to see these songs played live. It was clear that Chester Bennington was the goods of that band. So without him, you bring in somebody in Emily Armstrong who has fronted a band. She's written a hit song and shit like that. So everybody really had a lot of hope for the future of this new look Linkin Park. Also, Colin Britton was announced as the band's new drummer. So not only a new singer, but a new drummer for Linkin Park. So everything was looking good. And then as you go from Thursday into Friday, the shit kind of started to hit the fan, because what happened was that people were starting to circulate online, on Reddit, on X. They were starting to circulate a story about Cedric Bixler-Zavala from the Mars Volta. His wife was one of the victims of Danny Masterson. Y'all might know him from the 70s show Hyde. Turns out the motherfucker was a big-time rapist. And he was also big time in the Church of Scientology. His whole family had come up in that shit. So he was highly regarded, and the church seemed to really go out of their way to try to protect him. And Cedric specifically called out Emily Armstrong of Dead Sarah, now new lead singer for Linkin Park, about her ties to Scientology. And the fact that she showed up and supported Danny Masterson when he was on trial, a trial he would eventually be found guilty of multiple rapes. Cedric Bixler-Zavala had put up a post on Instagram in 2023, and this is directed at the band Dead Sarah. He says, and I quote, "I'm surprised none of you wrote a letter on Danny Masterson's behalf, since your corny ass singer showed up to support him in the prelims. Remember Emily? Remember how your fellow Scientologist goon squad surrounded one of the Jane Does when she was trying to leave the elevators? The court sheriffs had to escort her away from your awful cult. Remember when we did the purification rundown, Emily?" Referring to Emily Armstrong. "Were you directed to safe point me because of what my wife knew? Why can't you shut your mouth during a detox program where people are going through some rough shit, but your corny ass is singing like an unsupervised child? Is it because you're a born Scientologist that gets a pass? How do you reconcile the homophobia in the teachings of LRHs," referring to L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, "in the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard's book Dianetics? Do your fans know about your friend Danny Masterson, your rapist friend?" So that's been getting passed around and passed around and passed around. And a lot of the fans have started to really, really shit on this new hire. I did get some comments from the people. So let's go through that. And, these are some of the issues that the fans are having. First, my homie Sawgon says, another reason Linkin Park fans are taking issue with this is that we loved Chester and hated what he went through when he was a child. Imagine letting someone who is essentially a rape apologist and against mental health treatments into your band after Chester being the face of it. For those that do not know, Chester was a rape victim when he was a kid. He's been struggling with it since childhood, and we all know how it ended. Absolute scumbag she is, and the band for letting this hire happen. That is the fucked up juxtaposition that is really pissing off a lot of the fans. Scientologists do not believe in treating mental illness. They don't believe in taking like fucking any pills that would help you if you're, say you've got anxiety or you're depressed or whatever. They have other answers for that don't involve medicine or anything like that. So you're bringing on someone to sing Chester Bennington songs who doesn't believe any of that shit. The fact that she supported Danny Masterson, some are viewing as her being a rape apologist. My homie Fing2112 says, why would they get a rape apologist to replace Chester Bennington of all people? That's just pissing on his legacy. And as I said, that is a thought that a lot of the fan base is having right now. Next, my homie Premature Eulogy says they had 7 years to plan their comeback and find a replacement for Chester. 7 years only to go with a rape apologist, Scientologist who doesn't believe in the treatment of mental illness, to replace the singer who struggled with mental health. Such an unbelievably awful decision. So the way Cedric Bixler Zavala, I think the way he met Emily was actually at a Scientologist event. And as I just referenced in that quote from him, he feels that the victims of Danny Masterson were harassed by the Church of Scientology and the people that were out there, Emily being one of those people. So that's going on like white hot all through fucking Friday. By the end of the night, Emily Armstrong, who had never commented on this shit, this Danny Masterson thing, it only just caught fire now because obviously she's somebody who is now fronting one of the bigger bands in the world. So finally, Emily Armstrong had to respond. So she put out an Instagram post saying, and I quote, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm new to so many of you, and I wanted to clear the air about something that happened a while back. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see the good in people, and I misjudged him. I have never spoken with him since. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. To say it as clearly as possible, I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of these crimes." From reading this statement, the first thing that jumps out at me is her saying, I was asked to support someone. So who asked her? I'm assuming the Church of Scientology. She doesn't actually acknowledge the Scientology angle. Now, several people had pointed out, overnight, Emily Armstrong's Wikipedia was heavily edited to scrub all references to Scientology. So I don't know if Emily's trying to be like a low-key Scientologist. Can you be a low-key Scientologist? I mean, I would think any religion that you would like hide and be embarrassed of, they probably wouldn't be happy with that, I wouldn't think. But I haven't heard anything about Emily Armstrong leaving the church. So it's to be believed that she is in fact a Scientologist. And of course, I don't have a problem with the fact that she has a certain religion. This is the United States. We're allowed to be whatever the fuck religion we want to be. And so whatever, she's allowed to be a Scientologist, obviously. But it is true. It is kind of a weird thing to have someone voicing these words that were written by somebody who did struggle with mental health so severely. Emily Armstrong would have had no connection to this band at any other point. She was probably just a fan, like a lot of people. So I'm sure on some level she can relate to these songs, but as a lifelong Scientologist, can you truly speak to these songs? Or is it just, are we overthinking it? Is it as simple as saying, well, it's fucking cover songs, dude, whatever the fuck? I mean, of course, the bottom line is this isn't going to stop the tour. They're not just going to up and fire her. I mean, it would be fucking crazy if they did, because apparently they've been working on all this shit for a long time. This is not just like some announcement that like, hey, this is some shit we're gonna be doing. They made this announcement and they're going right the fuck out on the road. They already got a single loaded. They're recording an album. So, I mean, they're moving at a really fast pace and they've been working on this for a second. So I don't believe that you're going to see Emily Armstrong get cast off. From a talent standpoint, she certainly has the talent to front that band. But, from a monetary standpoint, it wouldn't make sense to fire her. And I mean, this is obviously a business move. You're putting together this big tour to make some fucking money off the music that you all played a part in, certainly. And I mean, I would think the bulk of the people that are going to go to this show, because this show is going to be playing arenas and it's going to be selling those motherfuckers out, regardless of what's going on. So, I mean, like I said, you're not going to see her get fired. There's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh, I could never support this or whatever. At the end of the day, it's essentially a tribute band. It's the greatest Linkin Park tribute band because it's made up mostly of the original Linkin Park members. I mean, she has acknowledged the Danny Masterson thing. She's made it clear how she feels about it. So really all that's left then is like, well, she's Scientologist and they don't believe in treating mental illness. A lot of people would say that's a thin premise to just fully not support the show. When of course you're going just to sing all these existing songs. If they do a new album, what are the chances it's going to be like really good? Not much. We've seen like the music that Mike Shinoda produces on its own. I mean, it's very, very mid, as the kids say. So I'm sure it's going to be a great time. If you can get past the Scientology, Linkin Park will be touring starting as I record this next week. So probably by the time you see this video, that shit's going to be starting up. So look for Linkin Park with famed Scientologist Emily Armstrong coming to a town near you. So be on the lookout for that. Anyways, moving on.